Welcome to our 13th wave of PS4 collecting. This time we're bringing the roller coaster of gaming to you with the titles that are sure to make you scream. As we explore the twists and turns, manipulate your chairs to the reclined position, secure your restraints, and let the information guide you along the path of least resistance. This ride can be turbulent, and G1 Toys is not responsible for lost valuables, death, dismemberment, or any injury due to watching our reviews. Enjoy. And for our first game of this review, we have a game that pretty much blew me the F away. This is Dead Cells by Merge and Motion Twin. It is rated T14. I love these indie titles because they come out and you're not sure what to expect, but then you're pleasantly surprised with ones like this. So I was really enamored by this game. I thought it was excellent. It was done really well, very addicting. It is rated T for blood and gore, language, and violence. And if we open it up on the inside, we get to see that you do have a little bit of artwork under the disc there. Not a ton, but a little bit. And then with the art book is, it's pretty thick. It's actually really nice. It actually goes through quite a bit of the game and the type of characters that you'll see in the game. Really cool artwork in here, and it was very welcome to see a booklet so thick full of cool stuff. So I must say that this was definitely a pleasant surprise, to say the least. Let's talk about Dead Cells. They could have named this title Dandruff also, but that denotes a negative connotation because no one likes dandruff. So we take the mainstream approach with a badass title like Dead Cells. Holy Hannah, what we have here is a deeply involved platformer with high action, strategy, and collection progression. I'm reminded of so many titles from Strider to Dark Souls, but Dead Cells has its own signature. If you were to ask me which game you've played in the last year with the best pixel art, this would be in my top 3 favorites. It's gorgeous and owns its environments. Just like in the Souls series, prepare to die, but know this, if you tweak your inventory, sometimes it's just enough to push on and rise up to the next challenge. And it's okay if you perish, because it truly is a glorious death. Final synopsis, 8.5 out of 10. Well, looky here, as promised, I have brought to you Detroit Become Human to review today, only on PlayStation by Quantic Dream and rated M for mature. If we open it up on the inside, that is what you're going to see, and on the back it is rated M for blood, intense violence, partial nudity, sexual themes, strong language, and use of drugs, and is presented quite nicely as well. But this was another game of this developer that I really appreciated and can't wait to tell you about. So let's get into Detroit now. Now, I've heard of facials, but this is ridiculous. The facial recognition here is the main dish, with a little motion capture on the side. I can't sit down and become involved in a story-driven game without some pizzazz, be it quirky humor, advanced graphics, well-executed emotional moments, or smart dialogue, and Detroit nails it pretty well in these categories. Quantic Dreams allows you to play as Kara, Marcus, and Connor through an interactive decision-based progression on a level that surpasses the standard Telltale mechanics. Yeah. At times, I found myself reacting differently to a situation based on the fact that I was an android, and it was a conscious tug-of-war between human and AI that gave the 10 through 12-hour playthrough a unique substance. There's much to be impressed with here, and minimal scattered problematic issues, so if Beyond Two Souls and Heavy Rain gameplay is your bag, you may want to download this to your PS4's mainframe, because it's cutting edge, especially if you own the Pro. Final synopsis, 8 out of 10. I really wanted to intro this review with a scream for this game, but for all of your sake, I will keep the cringe factor to a minimum today. Let's talk about Dragon Ball FighterZ. This is the Day 1 edition, rated T by Bandai and Namco, and does have some DLC there, as you can see on the front, which I'll show you also on the inside. On the back, it is presented very well. Front and back looks amazing, and is rated T for cartoon violence, mild language, and mild suggestive themes. If we open it up, this is what you're going to be getting. There is your DLC and what you get with the Day 1 edition. This is a new copy, so I haven't even used the code yet. I'm not going to show the code to you, unfortunately. Sorry, maybe when I get more subscribers, I'll do that. So hit that subscribe button, and you might get some free DLC in the future. This is just a little advertisement, looks like, for other games. I love Ni no Kuni 2. It's a great one. Own that, been playing it a long time. Let's talk about Dragon Ball. Remember the days you used to beat yourself up in the shower imagining your Gohan facing up against Vegeta? Now you have the perfect getaway to the anime right on your PS4. This is a prime example of how a good developer can mesh the television series with a video game, all while making it look sensational. And remember back in the day how delightful it was to program one-button fatalities into the Mortal Kombat trilogy? Well, you get relatively close to that with the movesets here, and that really makes you feel godlike. As wonderful as the sheer omnipotence is, the catering to the fans is equally powerful with an impressive 21 solid playable characters, 3 unlockables, and 8 DLC with a standard 3-player roster in every brawl. If you want the quintessential DBZ, you'll drop the funds for what is the best one to date. I'm no Shower Goku, just Super Saiyan. Final synopsis, 8.5 out of 10. And our next game we bring to you today is Ridin 5. This is the director's cut, limited edition by UFO and rated E10+, with a very nice art direction on the front of that. On the back, not so much. It is rated E for fantasy violence, and if we open it up on the inside, we do get a pretty cool 2-disc set with the game on the left here, and then the soundtrack on the right. So very cool that they added that in. I wasn't extremely impressed with this one. We'll get into that in just a little bit, but I'm not even sure how to say that. Ridin or Raiden, you know, tomato, tomato, I don't know. But I just think it's pronounced Ridin. I'm saying that because I've heard it pronounced like that before. But with this one, I was kind of a little bit reminded of another font from another game there, and I'll give you a second to think about it. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. Retro City Rampage, right? I think that's the one it resembles. Let's get right into Ridin here. Ridin answers the age-old question, how many shmups can be released in a year's time? It's like that damn Tootsie Pop that you keep licking only to find your tongue bleeding before you reach its center. And that's what you get with our 5th installment of Ridin, a bloody tongue. I grow impatient with games where half of my screen is littered with distracting story and effects, when all I want to do is be amazing as I lay waste to multitudes of pattern-programmed baddies. I'm by no means saying this is a horrible game. It has quite a bit of ship options and yes, cheer. Not quite Dallas Cowboys cheer, but an online attainable skill. And just like an energy bar packs you with protein, this new energy/shield bar keeps you kicking until it's depleted. And don't forget the new flash option. It's a score multiplier for chaining together wicked skills. I guess when the space dust settles, it's a fairly solid entry in the series, but I'm not gravitationally attracted to it. Final synopsis, 6 out of 10. And just to prove my point a bit, there you go. There's the two side by side. Yeah, I'm a little off on my accuracy there. It looks like Retro City Rampage is a different font. It just resembled it quite a bit, I thought. And I'm just going to keep them on the shelf next to this to confuse the hell out of my guests that come over. But there you go. Retro City Rampage and Ridin's very similar fonts. And let's talk about the next game here, which is The Surge. This one is by Focus Home Interactive and is rated M for mature. A very cool presentation on the front. I'm really digging the vibe they got going there. And on the back is really cool looking. It's even better than the front, I think. But that is rated M for blood and gore, intense violence, and strong language. And if we open it up, fairly plain on the inside, but still cool nonetheless. Let's get right into the synopsis for The Surge. Deck 13 has chiseled their way into the gaming world only to fall short of a complete engraving of their aspirations. The few games I've played by them so far are like faint echoes of the great titles they attain to be. That said, this title still retains enough in the way of combat, graphic enhancement, and inventory perks to powder my nose for a good play. Where it lacks is a level design, and it makes up for it with scrapping. And yes, I'm referring to both definitions, fighting and collecting. Also, the 40 to 50 hour campaign is a favorable size for the price point. It's not a bad game, just slightly unimpressive. I think the majority of gamers will pick this up and appreciate what it was trying to be, and that's a fair assessment. Final synopsis, 7 out of 10. And in my wave of titles this time around, we got a guy catching one on the front of this cover. This is Surf World Series with 5 iconic shorelines, including Bells Beach, Waimea Bay, and Super Tubos, and it is rated E for everyone by Wired Productions. I was thinking to myself, finally, a surf game that we can relate to and we can get wet with. But this one was just a little disappointing, that's for sure. It is rated E for no reason there at all. And if we open it up, this is what you get on the inside. This is a brand new copy, so this is what you get with the new sealed copies when you open it. It's pretty plain. You just get the case, the artwork, and the disc. So let's talk about Surf World Series. Initially, you dive in and boogie board your way to the ultimate rush. That is, if you were there. But not being there is more like throwing in Leave It to Beaver reruns. It gets boring fast. Since there's not an abundance of surfing games out there, however, Surf World Series excels at being the best one, but also excels at repetition, wherein lies the problem. The option of different locations is welcome, but only provide a background to the same exact gameplay over again. At least you can modify your surfer a bit, but I would have rather seen a Brody option from Point Break gracing the screen. Hell, even Anthony Kiedis would have been fine. The learning curve takes longer than most modern gamers are willing to spend. So while you grab your board and ride to the unimpressive waves that tend to go forever without breaking, hang a 4 out of 10 for my final synopsis. And for the special game of this review, we bring to you, yes, the new Marvel Spider-Man, only on PlayStation by Insomniac Games, rated teen for blood, drug reference, language, and some violence. And as you can see, it's presented very cool on the front and the back. If we open up the inside, you get a cool spider insignia on your disc, and then this is actually some DLC right here, but I can't show you that. Not quite yet, that is. And this is another spider symbol on the inside. This is a reversible cover. If you'd like to do that with the new Spider-Man game, you may, and there's what you will get if you decide to do that. So really, really cool game. I played this for quite a while, and it was a blast. There are lots of stuff to do. And it's definitely one of the games that I think is definitely a worthy mention for best of the year this year. So let's go ahead and get right into this one. Hype that makes the rebuild of the Titanic look unremarkable, a new spider symbol that can be seen anywhere, even in the dark, and a New York map system that may change this title to Grand Theft Spidey. We weave a web that's not so tangled, but rather fluid. Never have I wanted to just swing and take in such a beautifully crafted world in a Spider-Man title. It plays incredible at 30 frames per second with the 4K temporal injection on the Pro. I have to come right out and say it is the best Spidey-themed game to date, putting you in one of 25 suits of your choosing for engagement and thrilling moments in an open world. From E3's shiny Spidey preview to the finalized cloth feel, I believe they chose the best option for the finished product. Easily the most realistic interactive game of the bunch so far, as it sticks to keeping your web slinging honest by only attaching to nearby buildings. It's a matured title for a generation that appreciates option. And when you see the menu system, you'll understand. Battle is always a joyous occasion, especially when you start learning how to string attacks and incorporate your arsenal. Spidey's gadgetry availability would even make a certain trench-coated inspector blush. Also, I love the cross between Peter's normal life and his heroic endeavors. It reflected a human factor that adds depth to the missions. Boss battles are few and far between, but that is a good thing if you like builds. Bottom line, Spider-Man is a playground of content that can take you in upwards of 20 hours plus to get through, minus looking for the extra puddles, of course, in the E3 reveal. Final synopsis, 9 out of 10. And swinging in next, we have Uncharted, The Lost Legacy, only on PlayStation and, of course, by our favorite developer, Naughty Dog. This is T14, and it is rated for blood, language, use of alcohol and tobacco, and some violence. And has a decent presentation on the back as well. If we open it on up, we see that the disc is on the right, as it always is. And the, well, not always. Sometimes it's on the left if there's extra discs, right? This is the multiplayer instant unlock code that I will not give to you at this time. Like I said, you got to subscribe first. So this is also what you get here, some PlayStation Gear advertisement. Pretty cool for that. And a little map-looking inside cover there. Pretty cool game, guys. It was definitely a surprise. I didn't think it would be as good as it was. So let's get right into it. Since I usually choose the female role for most games anyway, I was right at home with The Lost Legacy. This one portrays itself as a lush extension of the titles that it predates, and it's the right kind of extension, if you know what I mean. The two protagonists are a good matchup for the stylish Indiana Jones style layout, and the environment in which to explore is flourishing with puzzles and extras to accomplish. Chloe in place of Nathan could have proved to be an ill decision, but worked out okay and didn't trample on the momentum. This is priced very well for the time you receive, and most gamers will blow through it between 4 to 6 hours, but you do get multiplayer and survival mode, which is a bit more action opposed to puzzling. It's an easy recommend for fans of Naughty Dog titles, and this legacy won't soon be forgotten. Final synopsis, 8 out of 10. And as we near the end of our reviews this time, we don't slow down with Velocity 2X Critical Mass Edition. This game was a surprise. I do like the indie titles, and this one definitely does not disappoint. It's rated E10+, and it includes some extra things right there at the bottom you can see. On the back, it's presented extremely beautifully. Everything here looks really good. It almost has kind of a maybe a Gravity Rush vibe going on a little bit with the artwork, I think, here. But I really like that style. It's really appealing to me. This is rated E10+ for fantasy violence only, so recommend this for anybody, the kids, the adults, just anybody who likes a good time zipping through levels, basically. So what you're going to get here is a really cool art book that they give you right here, as you can see. On the inside, they have the developers right there, as you can see, and just some really cool artwork and extras here. And I love these color booklets. When they give you the color booklets, it's just really makes you feel special when you open it up and take a look at what's inside of these things. So really cool, as you can see. Man, this is probably my favorite booklet tonight that I've gone over with you. But it does have the game on the left with this one, and then a soundtrack, which, might I add, the soundtrack for this game was impressive as well. So let's get right on into my review of Velocity 2X. And what's better than fast cars? Well, a fast woman when you're in a bind, perhaps. Check your reflexes at the door because this game moves. It requires concentration and skill. The gel of shmup and platformer come together to form a ballet worthy of an encore. Zipping about through solid objects lets you feel a fluidity most titles can't touch. With the solid visuals and unprecedented speed, you'll either 1. Feel like the Flash with boobs, or 2. Finally understand the sensation of a York peppermint patty. Either way, there's much to enjoy from Velocity 2X, and a great score as well. I get a bit of a Fantastic Four vibe by the blonde bombshell who resembles the Invisible Woman, but that doesn't distract from the glorious gameplay. Final synopsis, 8 out of 10. And for our last game of this review, we come to The Witch and the 100 Night 2, which is a little confusing to say without the S at the end of nights, right? This is by NIS America, rated T14, and only on PlayStation. This is an exclusive. I chose to stick with this cover because it kind of portrays the game a little better than the flip side, which I will show you. But on the back, it's presented very nicely, and on the front, looks awesome, looks amazing. I was really looking forward to this game. It's rated T for blood, language, sexual themes, and violence. And as we open it up, this is what you get on the inside. I'm going to go ahead and take this disc out for a second so I can show you the inside of this cover. I actually really like this cover a lot as well, and if the game portrayed this darker feel, I think that this would probably be the side I would use, but I wasn't too impressed with this particular game this time around. The first one was definitely better, so let's go ahead and get into this one now. Ah, the JRPG that would make Marvin the Martian proud, with the protagonist bearing a striking resemblance to the Looney Tunes character, and wielding 5 different weapons at any given time. Talk about diabolical. Unfortunately, there's little to save this title aside from NIS of America publishing it and the quirky, somewhat humorous sprites. It's a tedious mess and doesn't bring the joy I felt from the first. The story just lacked the luster that I had conjured it should have had. What happened to the dark Metallia tone from the first? It felt like a different game. I'm going to be honest and say I didn't play to completion, and I hate to give a final score on a game until I see the entire bagel. But I can't continually eat this one without any cream cheese. Final synopsis, 5 out of 10. We're so glad you could join us. Next step is to prepare yourselves for some subject-specific reviewing where we'll be delving into some truly awesome games for the kids. Every view is appreciated and every subscription is welcomed. Thank you sincerely for watching, and remember, in Nuka World, everyone rides for free.